And also, in the previous episode they showed a group of people who are willing to go with Michael to the future, but it was only like the bridge crew. And yet now we see the entire crew of the ship being on the Discovery, including, all the medical personnel. So you're taking the entire crew of the whole ship, which is hundreds of people, including Dr. Finn in sickbay, who we never saw agree to any of this. So this is ridiculous, and of course Michael is the savior of the universe again. She already saved the entire multiverse in season 1, and now she saved the whole universe by becoming the Archangel Michael and flying into the wormhole. And the bridge crew, they all agreed to follow her and abandon all their families to follow Michael. So it's kind of like a Jesus analogy, I guess. So how Jesus wanted everybody to abandon their family to follow him, and she opens up a wormhole and pulls the Discovery behind her into that wormhole, and Pike and Spock and the Enterprise stay behind and watch them. She even told Spock that once she's in the future, she'll send him the final 7 symbols so that he'll know she's safe, because he's so worried about her. And then he has to wait a few months to see that final signal, which also made me laugh, because they showed in this very same episode that she can create those signals anywhere and anytime she wants. That she programmed the suit to create the signals at exactly all those times in which she saw the signals previously, and so we saw that she can create them anytime she wants. So why the hell did Spock have to wait 120 days before he saw the final signal from Michael? So was she just toying with him? Was she teasing him? Did she want him to wait for her for months to know that she's safe? What exactly is the explanation for that, I wonder? Maybe it's because she's in the far future, so it's less precise that way, I guess. Even though Michael's mother also appeared whenever she wanted, apparently. And also, how exactly would she even meet her mother in the future? Because, remember, they jumped into the future after Leland was already defeated. And that means that dark future in which everything is destroyed will never have existed. So how exactly will they meet Michael's mother when she's still in that original timeline in which everything was destroyed? So they will get to the future in which it didn't happen. Right? So how does that make sense? Also, we never got a scene Georgiou saving Michael, which Michael's mother said that she saw, that Philippia is supposed to sacrifice herself to save Michael. That never happened in the whole season, so how exactly was she able to see that? I guess that was an alternate timeline. So anyway, it makes no sense for them to arrive in the future in which everything was not destroyed and still meet Michael's mother. And they'll probably do that in the next season, which would be ridiculous. And also, by moving the whole show into the future, I guess they'll also be ruining the future of the Star Trek universe and not just the past. And now for the biggest plot hole in this episode and this whole season, in fact. How the hell did Spock know about the 7 signals when he was a child? In this episode we see Michael jumping back in time creating the signals, but we never saw her making contact with Spock as a child. The one who made contact with him was Michael's mother. And it was established in her own dialogue when we saw her logs. She said that she is able to make contact with Spock because of Spock's dyslexia, so she's unable to talk with anyone else, and the way she talked with Spock was using some kind of mind meld, even though it's strange how she did that as a kid. Did Spock know how to do mind melds as a kid? It made sense in that scene in which he went off to some planet to meet the Red Angel, and him initiated the mind meld with the Red Angel, and he saw that future in which everything was exploding, and he said that he felt the Red Angel is lonely, and so that was obviously Michael's mother. And she said in her logs that she is able to communicate with Spock because of his mind melding ability and also because of his dyslexia, which makes him able to understand those visions that he sees when he mind melds with her. By the way, the whole thing about her not being able to communicate with anyone is also stupid, because she was obviously able to do things in the past. Couldn't she use like a laser beam to just write something on the floor when she appears in various places? Why didn't she just left a note with instructions of how to avoid control being created, or to destroy the sphere data, something like that, and just solve the whole problem? For some reason she couldn't. The only way she could have communicated was through Spock, and he saw that as visions, which made him crazy, and he didn't believe that what he saw was real, and that's why he put himself in an institution. But how does any of that explain the fact that he saw the 7 red signals in his childhood? Because we saw that he drew those signals as a child, and later he dreamt about them in the future, and that's why he went off to some planet to meet the Red Angel. After that, I presume he went totally crazy, and then he put himself in the institution. But who was the Red Angel that appeared to him in his bedroom as a kid? And back then, did he even know how to do mind melding? So how exactly did he read the thoughts of the Red Angel? And it was established in dialogue by Michael's mother that it was indeed her who did that. She did that to save Michael because Michael was supposed to die. Also, it wouldn't make sense for that to be Michael, because if Michael died in that timeline, how could she then come back from the future and save herself from dying? It wouldn't make sense. Therefore, the whole thing with her mother being the one who did that does make sense. Also, because she's her mother, that explains why she wanted to save her. And so I'm fine with that, but still the question is, how did he know about the red signals from his childhood? If Michael's mother didn't know about them, only Michael knew about them, and we also never saw in those flashbacks of Michael going back to the past to create the signals, we didn't see her meeting Spock as a child, so therefore it wasn't her. In none of them she appeared to Spock as a child to tell him about the red signals, and it was never mentioned he saw the Red Angel again. Now it's possible he did see it again without his parents' knowledge because his parents didn't believe him. It's possible that he had another encounter but just didn't tell anyone, and also maybe didn't fully retain the memory of it, because when he was telling all of this to Michael in that episode on Talos 4, he never told her that, and she didn't see that when she mind melded with Spock. She didn't see that he ever met a Red Angel again. I actually said back then when I saw that episode, I said they should have established him meeting the Red Angel again, because it would actually fit the dialogue of a scene in TNG in which Sarek was telling Picard about Spock. And he said that Spock always went off to the mountains for some unknown reason, and he tried to punish Spock and he still went to the mountains. And I said back then that that was a missed opportunity to tie in with TNG, because they could have explained that scene in TNG by showing Spock going off to the mountains to meet the Red Angel again. So unfortunately those writers didn't remember that scene, and they left this big plot hole unexplained of how exactly Spock gained the knowledge of the 7 signals, which he could only get from Michael. And we didn't yet see Michael going back to talk with a young child Spock. Now it's possible they might still fix this in the next season. All they have to do is show Michael jumping back to the past again as the Red Angel to meet a young Spock as a child, and somehow show him the red signals. But they really should have done that in this episode. They really should have wrapped up all the loose ends, because as it is, it doesn't make sense. So they jump to the far future without finishing all these time loops, and it was even stated in the episode that she couldn't jump to the future before she finishes all these time loops. The time machine wouldn't let her jump to the future otherwise, and so why was that point left open? But I guess they might still fix it in the next season if they don't forget. Probably they will forget about that, and so that will remain an unexplained plot hole, which is very annoying in my opinion. And it's really too bad, because this overall plot, I do kind of like it. I like the fact that it's so convoluted, and I love convoluted storylines if they make sense. My problem here is with the details. They didn't pay enough attention to the details, and so they messed it up and left all these plot holes. So maybe they will explain it in the next season. And also the question remains, which future exactly will they arrive at? Because if they defeated Control before they even jumped, that means they should arrive to the future in which nothing was destroyed by Control, and therefore they would never find Michael's mother. She would still be stuck in that other timeline in which everything is destroyed, and also they are the one guilty for destroying her time crystal, and so she's stuck there forever. And they'll never be able to reach her because they'll be going into this new timeline that was created, or the proper timeline, however you choose to look at it. Now it's possible they might still end up in that destroyed future, and in some ways I think it would be better for the show and for the franchise as a whole, because if they go to the future of the real canon, the one that takes place after Voyager and Nemesis and all the Trek we know and the new Picard series, then they will still be messing up continuity. Even though it's set in the future, it will still probably be messing up with the continuity of the other Star Trek shows, because they'll be making mistakes and not following it correctly. And if they want to do kind of a darker future in which there is no Federation and Starfleet, then that would make all the other Star Trek series, including the new Picard show, it will make them all pointless, because if they reveal in Discovery in the far future everything was destroyed anyway, so what's the point in all the victories of the other shows? And it would have to be such a future, because otherwise why wouldn't Starfleet just give them a new ship? If they see them arriving in such an ancient ship, they would tell them, let's put that in the museum and let's give you all a new ship, and therefore the Discovery will be thrown to the trash basically. So I really doubt they would do that, and so most likely they will reveal that the Federation collapsed and Starfleet no longer exists, making all the other Star Trek shows pointless. And that's why I actually prefer them jumping into that same future in which Michael's mother went into, in which most life was destroyed. We saw in that short track that is set in the future that some humans still exist, but maybe they are from that colony which Michael's mom implanted from Earth, and so maybe that's where all those humans came from. And I guess if they want to meet her mother, they would have to go to the dark future, and maybe that's why she would have to go back and try to fix it. Maybe they'll think it didn't work, and maybe Michael will suddenly remember, oh wait, I didn't tell the kid Spock about the red signals, and he's supposed to know about them because that's what started the whole plot, and maybe because I didn't do that, that's why we arrived in the dark future, and so that's when she will use the suit to go back and talk with the child Spock, and maybe that will be in the mountains. I really hope so, because that will actually be a good tie-in with continuity for a change. So technically they can still fix that plot hole if they want to, and hopefully season 3 will be in that alternate future in which the Federation is gone, because it's still that same future in which Michael's mother arrived at. That would be ideal because it won't mess up, it won't interfere with the continuity of all the other Star Trek shows, and it won't be making them all pointless. And so I definitely think season 3 should be in that darker future, which would fit the tone that the show wants to have anyway, and it would explain why they cannot get a new ship from Starfleet and no help from the rest of Starfleet. And maybe they'll do it like the Andromeda series, which was also about a starship that is trying to rebuild the old Commonwealth, which collapsed, which was kind of like the Federation, the same idea. So maybe they'll do that kind of show, that they are the only Starfleet ship, and they might be trying to re-establish the Federation, but I really hope it's in a different timeline and not the one set after all the other shows. So that's my opinion on that. I didn't finish with the review. I will take a break and I will come back later with a lot more points I didn't cover yet, so stay tuned. Let me know what you think in the comments below and we can discuss it in the comment section, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.